We're live. Are you liking the countdown music? Is that what?
Oh, hey. Yeah, I was still listening to the countdown music in my head.
It's funny. I can put videos on loop. What if I just one day I'll put the countdown on loop and I'll count it all the way down and it'll just start over again. That'll be we'll have a 4-minute intro one day where it's the countdown just keeps looping.
Whew. I think you'll lose all 2 viewers. Ooh, are you drinking Colomba?
La Colombe.
La Colombe.
The triple draft.
Nice. I got a little bulletproof in here. I've been trying to tamp my carbohydrate intake from it had gone up a bit over the course of 6 to 9 months.
69 months.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like the person who's like, I'm gonna get back on the horse. I'm gonna start going to the 5:15 class, and they were actually just talking about this in the Malleolo interview on Best Hour of like, so the person gets up like 3 hours earlier than they normally do, and they make it like 3 days, but by Wednesday, they're like, I can't do it. It's like, hey, phase yourself into it. So I went from 800 grams of carbohydrates a day with them being predominantly cookies and sourdough bread and jelly jam bread sandwiches, to no carbs.
And that lasted till about lunch.
I was about to say, that lasted till this, I didn't breakfast. But you take one thing out, you gotta put something else in. So
yeah, that's right.
Trying to
So if anyone wants to know these La Colombes, I'm tempted to sell La Colombes at the gym because you can get a case of 12 for it's a case of 12 for I think it's $7 at Costco. Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, that's Costco, not Sam's. I wonder if they're at Sam's.
Oh, that's a good point. For some reason Meg decided she liked Costco better than Sam's. I think it's because she kept running into you at Sam's. And she's like, we gotta go somewhere else. We can't let him see our pool toy purchases.
I was so impressed. I can't believe you think I was judging you that. I was like, that's such a smart call. I actually thought about getting one.
Dude, I'll tell you, it's been great. They get on it at least once or twice a week. And I've been starting to I start to spray it with
Febreze. Pledge.
Bleach. I just let them swim in bleach. That's why Everett's hair is so white.
Silicone.
Spray bottle and a little bit of water and bubble bath. And I spray it.
Money.
So it's been cool. Yeah, it's been really cool.
You're like Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, when he sprays the sled with that Ultra Glide.
That's what they do. They try to run up the slide. You just see them all. It's like they launch. It's just a big moon bounce.
Yeah.
Let them. So, it was cool. It's cool. Yeah, it's good. It's just the bugs. The bugs, man. I probably talk about it every time. The bugs are so bad here, man. Like I said though, you could spray, but they're gonna kill all. It's mostly the mosquitoes. The mosquitoes are just awful. And like you said though, but you spray, I can't think of the last time I saw lightning bugs. Until we moved here. I just remember walking out one night and just lightning bugs everywhere. And I was like, oh, you don't see lightning bugs in Annapolis a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they came and sprayed, probably wouldn't have lightning bugs.
Right. And I have no idea if that's a true statement. I think I was reading, it was a series in the New York Times about this, and written by the same woman across the series, talking about they moved out to some farm in West Virginia, or property in West Virginia. And over the course of 5 or 6 years, she tried to reintegrate the sort of native plants and the natural fauna and animals and stuff. And and one of the first things to come back when they sort of got rid of the pesticides and the sprays were the mosquitoes, then the lightning bugs, then the frogs, then the like, and it was this like sequence of, ecological, whatever. And I was like, oh, I mean, like, right, like logically, it made sense to me. I have absolutely no idea. But she had mentioned that those sprays can't determine, or they're not determinate between what invertebrates they kill and what they don't kill. Like that's, I guess, impossible to do scientifically. Right. Again, don't know, not a chemist. But I was like, all right, well, it kind of makes sense. And I noticed with the 4 neighbors all around us and vicinity of us, and then with the school construction, they didn't spray for the last 2 years. And this is the first year I've seen lightning bugs, right? So causal, I don't know. Correlative, maybe. So
I'd say more so for me now than maybe not as much too, is like, do we really, I mean, they're spraying the trees and the grass and all that, and my kids are running around this all day. Like, what are the long-term,
right.
Like, again,
I don't know.
Are they just microdosing insecticide for the next several years? So, then eventually they have 2 heads. Yeah, they are cute though. They could do it too.
I mean, 2 fees running around. Maybe once.
God, the house would burn down. Man, she's straight up. I'll tell you this, then we'll actually get into stuff. She is, I think, since her birthday, because her birthday was this past Saturday, so she's now officially 6. So now I need a second hand to start counting.
Oh.
And but she was feeling like a big shot because she got all that attention basically for a weekend, because we had a party on Saturday. I took her. We got a bunny. We now have a bunny named Lizzie, which I think I'm allergic to. So it's like she had. So we went and got her bunny on Friday. Her birthday was on Saturday. We took her and a couple friends to the carnival. As her birthday party this year. We kept it a little more low scale, and then like Sunday, family, her Grampy came over and gave her a gift and all that. So it was kind of extended. So she's feeling pretty bold right now, and she went and took ice cream out of the freezer yesterday, and she's like, "Dad, can I have some ice cream?" I was like, "You can have a little bit after dinner." And she just goes, "I'm gonna have it now." And she goes to she goes, "I'm gonna have it now." And she goes to get a spoon. I was like, "Excuse me," and it triggered. I snatched it right out of her hand. She was pissed. I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, "I didn't say." And I'm like, now she's mad. She's a 6-year-old, like raging mad because I just took it. And I'm trying to reason with her in that moment too. Like, I didn't say no at all. I said, not what I think I said. I think I said after dinner. I was like, I didn't say no at all. After dinner. She's like, "You snatched it from me," because we tell her all the time, don't snatch from Everett. She snatches stuff from Everett. It's like, so now all she's saying is, I did the thing that she told us that we tell her all the time not to do. I was like, man, but she was like bold. She just straight up looked at me. She's like, "No, I'm gonna have it now." I was like, "Oh, here we go." She's gonna be a tough teenager, man. She's gonna be a tough teenager. I'm not ready for it. Which is good because she has several years. Anyway, that was mine.
You could send her to that. You could send her to that outdoor camp that they sent Paris Hilton to. Did you hear about that? She had a book that came out, but she was on. I think she was on the Armchair Expert on Dax Shepard's podcast, and told the story of like, I'm kidding, don't like. It's like one of the ones, like I think they still exist, but like, people get assaulted in the cabins and stuff, and it's like right, like we're gonna scare these kids straight. Do not send her there. I'm totally kidding. It was not a good idea, but yeah.
Well, I think I don't know the one that she went to, but so I didn't get it. I think you've met her in the past. And my cousin Megan she dropped into class 6:15 yesterday, and so I was chatting with her as you guys were walking out. But when she was a kid, my aunt and uncle sent her to one of those, like, they take you out. It was kind of like a Scared Straight, because I think they thought she was completely out of control. And like, that's a whole different dynamic, my aunt and uncle and my cousin. And she was really just like an ADHD kid that they were trying to control like every aspect of your life. You ever see that, like, control every single aspect of your life, and as soon as they start to get a little freedom, they're like, "Ooh, this is nice." And that was my cousin. And so but I think she went to one of those where she's like, I was with like, drug addicts and like, people that, like, the people that she was with in this camp. She's like, I didn't understand why I was there. because I was a bad kid.
Right.
So that's 2 Paris Hilton drops in the last 3 days. Because I told you after the power went out last Wednesday.
Oh, I called you Paris Hilton. Yeah. But more the right. Like you're like, I don't do well without AC or something, or like it was
running water. Yeah,
running water.
I would never last as an Amish. Yeah,
that was it. He said I would never last as, and they've sent her and Nicole Richie to live with right out on the farm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like the internet, TV, and all that stuff, I'm fine. I just need, like, if it was winter, I'd be fine. But yeah, at this time of year, I need cold air, and I need to be able to flush the body. I just need to be able to flush.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
So this was our, we were kind of chatting our Patreon conversation, our pre-production conversation. And so let's just jump into talking about yesterday's workout. The 8-minute AMRAP, 2 wall walks, 4 box jump overs. We'll call them high box jump overs, 30-24, which is generally a little bit higher than your standard box jump over, but it's not doable. And did you like that workout? Good workout?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I love, couplets done high intensity, short duration, money, right? Like 2 things that felt complementary, but yet still with a little bit of interference. And I like that time domain. 8 minutes is right. I immediately imagine the Star Wars character. It's a trap. Like, right? Like 8 minutes. That's it. 8 minutes. Yeah, that's it, bro. I'll see you on the other side.
Like you said, it was nice too. They're almost more complimentary. So you could push that one with 8 minutes. You could push that one kind of out of the gate and still be okay without
right. So before we kind of lose thread. So what are you like? You asked me sort of a big picture qualitative, like, do I like it? Of course, right? But I'm easy, man. Like there isn't much that I don't like. Maybe if I see it on paper, I'm like, but like, no. And especially if it's in a class setting, like I'm pretty easy to please in the sense that like that it all delivers if done correctly. So then that begs that sets the question up. Okay, well, what does that mean done correctly?
And so that led me in this question popped up in regards to this. And I love seeing this all the time between all the affiliate owners I see on Affiliate U, or even like that, that affiliate owner Facebook group, even amongst our own coaches, a workout like that where it's two movements and they're pretty quick rep schemes. And you could say that they're not super high skill movements. It's not a squat snatch, right? 8 minutes. And so that's a topic I've seen came up with this one, and I've seen it with ones like this as well, where on paper it seems really simple. And as a coach, how much coaching are you actually doing when you, especially too, when, all right, in the specific warm up and leading up to it, you're making sure everyone understands the points of performance, how they do it. And when they're doing it slowly and kind of at your pace or looking well, all right, now then they're in at 3, 2, 1, go. How much of it is actually coaching and how much of it is cheerleading is the term you'll hear a lot. And so I thought that was something spurred that I was like, oh, let's talk about this, because I actually wanted to kind of have this conversation with you anyway. So that's where it kind of went into, is like, it's the workout, it's 8 minutes long, it's 2 movements. I do think both those movements take a good amount of skill. And there is plenty to look for in a handstand push-up and a high box jump, or I'm sorry, handstand, a wall walk and a box jump over. So like, how much coaching are you actually doing in that? And what do you foresee as if someone's there it is right there. I think I took the long route.
So summarize, make it a little bit snappier. What's your question?
In 8 minutes with 2 movements that aren't super high technical, they have their pieces. How how much coaching do you actually foresee in a workout like that, as opposed to just pushing people and saying, all right, you got to keep going, get there faster. Boom. I guess that's the way I phrase it.
What is the service that a coach provides the athletes in a class setting?
What is the service that a coach provides a client or an athlete in the class setting?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a watchful eye and making sure that they're moving well and getting better.
Okay, so it seems like in that answer you have like 3 parts.
Yeah.
So in the moment, safety, a watchful eye. Your second one was, I think you said execute something or what? And then moving effectively. And then the last one was getting better. Yeah. So that seems like
even better. Those two can maybe go together.
Well, just even then, it's sort of like, so past, present, future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so past. So the coaching occurs only in the 8 minutes.
No,
of
absolutely.
Right. So if I have only an 8-minute WOD, what other opportunities are available for the coach to accomplish those 3 things?
Good morning. Sorry, I'm sorry. Time out. Say hi.
What's up, kiddo?
You just wake up.
Happy belated birthday.
Thanks.
How old are you now?
6.
Can you count to 6 in Spanish?
Yes. I can also count 9. And also 10.
She can count to 6, 9, and 10.
But not 8
all
and
3
7.
Of them.
I can.
Oh, okay.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
What about 11 and 12?
I don't know that.
Oh, okay. We'll get there.
Is anyone else awake?
Everett is.
Everett is? Did you wake him up?
No.
If you believe that, I've got what's the saying? So if you believe that, I have a boat to sell you, or something like that. I don't know. She's a good salesman. All right. I'm going to do this. Can you go hop back inside, check on your brother? Go get yourself a piece of fruit or something. Cool. Awesome. All right. I'll see you in a bit.
Bye.
Love you.
See ya.
Bye. Go build a fort.
What?
Go build a fort.
No.
Okay. Anyway.
Go have some ice cream.
Shut up.
So I waited till she left.
I say if she heard you, you would have like. I think it's gone. I think I got rid of it. So it's there we go.
So 8 minutes. You only have 8 minutes. You only have 8 minutes to coach, right? What does that immediately suggest as far as other opportunities for the coach in the context of, as you initially established, past, present, future? So past, moving effectively; present, execute safely; future, get better.
So we'll say 8-minute WOD. We'll assume that you have anywhere 5 to 7 minutes after the workout to cool down. So if we go past, you basically have 45 minutes prior to that workout to set up, right?
I guess I'm just wondering, what is the timeline upon which the coach is interacting with the athlete? Like in a bigger, and we're talking a little bit abstractly, 60 minutes. So, but that again, like the limitation of what is the nature of a coach in a relationship with an athlete? Like at heart, what is the essence of that relationship between the coach and his or her athletes?
I feel like you're looking for a specific answer, and I'm struggling here, but I always
do
you
give it? Do you?
Inspire, there you go. Retain. There you go.
Yeah. So in that 8 minutes, is that the extent of the relationship between the coach and her athletes?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
In those 8 minutes, is that the extent? Is that the full extent of the relationship between the coach and that athlete? Right. And so, And so if we're thinking in the future, if like it's just the 5 minutes after the workout's over, when an athlete leaves the class and I don't notice, well, of course I won't notice because I have zero investment in that athlete. But if I'm thinking about that athlete as like what they were like 6 months ago, what they're going to be like 6 months from now, what they're going to be like 10 years from now. This is part of that Glassman. Like he got invited to athletes' weddings, right? Like he was the godfather. He is, some of his former athletes' kids' godfather, right? Like, so it transcends, that relationship has the opportunity to transcend the simple fact of like, yeah, I'm here to hand you a wall ball and tell you to push your knees out. Yes. Like, okay, that is part of it. But I'm also there to facilitate you being a better human. What the fuck does that mean? Right? Like, be a better human. Okay, well, I'm here to display to you that you can respect yourself more. So when you let yourself move badly, and I let you let yourself move badly, I have just said to you that I am willing to let you not care about yourself as much as you could possibly care about yourself. Right. So in the interim, I'm going to care about you more than you care about yourself, and I'm not going to let you do bad squats. So when it's in the warm-up for the 40 minutes before that 8-minute workout, every rep that is done unseen, uncoached, uncued is a confirmation that not only do I not care about you, I don't care about you not caring about you. Yeah. Do you see how? So it can get that it can get that metaphysical in a sense of like what that relationship could be. And the question or the comment, well, 8 minutes, what the hell could I coach in 8 minutes? How could I just be a cheerleader? Well, guess what? Maybe if I've done everything else correctly in that 60-minute window, the week before, the week after, right? In the whole big circle of that engagement with the athlete. Well, maybe in those 8 minutes, yeah, that's all that you're supposed to do is cheer, because that's what's left. Like that's what is appropriate, because they are moving safely. They are moving effectively. They know what their pacing strategy is supposed to be. They have a plan of action. They're executing the plan of action correctly. And in a sense, if all there is left for you to do is to cheer and to just kind of be there to be like crushing it, you're doing it, confirmation. Well, then that's success. Like then you have successfully set it up. But if you have people in a class that are all over the place, boxes by the door, boxes by the window, boxes by the wall, boxes under a rig. Some people don't even have a box because they're like, oh shit, I forgot to get my box, right? Then in a sense, what looks like a haphazard shit show maybe is a haphazard shit show because there's no intentionality of what those 8 minutes are supposed to be in sort of the larger narrative of a 60-minute workout within a larger narrative of what that coach to athlete relationship is within a larger narrative of what service a CrossFit affiliate provides its clientele. Do you see? And so there's no coherent narrative, which to me, that question is pointing to. That's the smoke indicating, oh man, there might be a much bigger fire here than we thought. And if your community is asking that question, that would be what is the nature of the relationship between a coach and her clients?
And I think from that standpoint, I think it can be that big where you're like, yeah, there's smoke, there's fire. I feel like that can also be I don't know. I guess when I hear when there's smoke, there's fire, like that's a big deal. We need to get on that. It also could be depending on the person where it's coming from and the experience of the person saying it. Hey, we've got some developing to do. Like it's what do you might just your eye's not as keen to some of the things as your eye is not as keen to seeing things as maybe someone who's more experienced, or it's you need to go back and in a wall walk in general, like it's are you just looking for making sure that they're like bracing their midline and they're not overextending their back as they get to that wall? Is that the only thing you're looking for? Right? Because maybe you need to go back and like, oh, we want to keep the arms straight, we want to keep the feet close together, we want to make sure that they're, I don't know, if you want to talk standards, their chest starts on the bottom of the ground, and they're so sometimes too, I think it can also it could be that relationship thing, or it's just hey, we got to work on your eye a little bit better. So that was my other side of it. That was where I was kind of going with it too.
How does the coach know that that's important?
What, being able to see?
Just all those things that you mentioned. Like how would I, if I'm your coach, how do I know that those are the things that I'm supposed to look at over the, like, do I have a sequence of priorities that I should focus on in order to optimize exactly what you just said, what I should be looking at?
Yeah. I mean, we can, I think several different things. If you're talking just level one in general, we have our foundational movements and the things that you look for in those.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, wall walks and box jumps aren't
not
the 9 fundamental
there's
movements.
Also so that's where it comes to planning. So if I want to we use CAP, and right.
Do you have that? Do you have that electronically? Like, is there somewhere? Is that rarely? Could you StreamYard?
Yeah.
Magic it.
Yeah. So I'll pop this. Yeah. Yeah, because right in there it tells you, in particular, in the WOD, what to look for. Here, tell you what. Hey, bud. Oh God, those kids are out here, and one of them is very naked.
Hey, man, you said it's hot.
One pooped on the deck. Oh God. Good morning. Welcome to Hoyt House.
And I can also smell it from right here.
All right, sweetheart.
That's awesome.
Good news is I can't smell anything. Can you see
I made this, and it's called it's called strawberry banana.
Strawberry banana. That's wonderful. Thank you, sweetheart.
Come see the strawberry banana.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So here is so this gets uploaded to SugarWOD as well. So here's a lesson plan for yesterday's workout. So here's the RX, intermediate, beginner, level, as I write it, level 1, level 2, level 3. Intended stimulus. Here's your coaching goals. Here's even like a whiteboard brief from them.
I love that. I love that got Kevin.
They got Ogar.
Yeah.
They'll joke sometimes too, where there's like workout with like lunges in it. They got Ogar on there, and he'll make a crack every once in a while. Be like, lunges are hard.
So slow down. So visually, I think if you scroll down to the visual timeline, Denise Thomas would usually go to that first, where it's that chart right there, that color coded chart.
Yep.
So if we scroll down to where the actual workout is, I think it's probably the blue. Or that like teal.
Yep.
Right. So that to me just visually depicts how almost not unimportant, but how little the actual warm up or the actual workout, the WOD of the 8 minutes is in that sense of the class plan. And that if I'm looking at it visually, I'm like, holy crap, like what's the most important thing? Well, that orange part is 18 minutes long. Yeah. So I would immediately be like, okay, well, what am I doing? I don't know the color code key. Like, what am I? I don't remember. What am I doing for 18 minutes? What am I doing that's almost 3 times, 2.5 times longer than the actual workout itself? And if you go to it, like, what is it that they're actually spending all that time What's the 18 minutes that they're doing?
That's a specific warm up right there. So that's where you're spending 10 minutes on wall walk practice alone.
Okay.
And so, here's a given progression. And not only is it progression, so 10 plank shoulder taps, slow. So this is warm, we've just gone through the general warm up and gotten them a little sweaty. But not only is there, here's shoulder taps, here's the movement we're going to start with the progression. And here's the progression. And then what are we looking for? Keep the hips level and still while touching the shoulder and holding for 0.01 as you're doing the shoulder taps. Keep the hips level and still while keep the hips level and still, which probably tells you like you're focusing on bracing through the midline there, right? Like we don't want any sort of booty shaking.
So if I have, you know that, right? Like you read that and you know that. But if I'm a coach I've coached maybe 30 hours of on the floor actual coaching, what is the direction that you could provide me to develop my eye for how to execute that 10-minute wall walk practice to lead to me being a better overall coach who can teach, see, correct?
So it could be how we talked about this a little bit last week, where you start with the static positions and then moving into it. I don't know.
Totally. I would say if I add that up, I have 20 reps. So I have 10 minutes. I have 20 reps to practice exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So if I have 10 athletes in a class and they're lined up against the wall and I got 20 reps, basically I should have 2 touches on each athlete. Mm-hmm. So 10 plank shoulder tap slow. So they're up in that plank position and 1, 2. Bob, squeeze your butt and squeeze your belly when you touch your shoulders. 3, 4. Better. Mike, make sure you don't swing your ass side to side when you touch your shoulders. Go. 5, 6.
Yeah.
Much better. Really make sure you squeeze your butt next time. 7, 8. Keep at it. Don't let me see you swinging when I come back. Mary, make sure, right? Like boom, boom. Do you see? So that's like the difference of versus the coach who's like, all right, everyone sit down or everyone lay down on the floor, feet up against the wall, go ahead, push up, give yourself 10 shoulder taps. Excellent. Go. Boom, 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 boom. Time's gone. Like that coach missed the opportunity to actually coach with intention of what those shoulder taps are actually doing. And we haven't even gotten to the feet elevated shoulder taps because now, as you said before, like, right, maybe they can do it well slowly, but then when I add intensity is not just speed, feet go up on the wall. It's the same slow, deliberate thing. If I'm the athlete in that class receiving that level of coaching, it's that show, don't tell aspect of now I have a coach showing me that they actually care about me. And then when they tell me like, hey man, I really care about you. I know I was a little hard today and maybe I was a little harsh on you, but it's because I know you have more in you. Remember when we were doing those shoulder taps and you really leaned into getting your midline stable and squeezing your butt and making sure you didn't swing your hips? That's the type of deliberateness I want when we're doing these air squats in the warm up, blah, 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 right? I reference a moment in time where we had that glimpse of that level of the attachment, or not attachment, but the level of investment between you, the athlete, me, the coach, and your progress, not just in this workout, but in your physicality.
Right.
And then maybe in something even bigger, right? Like the fact that you actually care about yourself and being deliberate and intentional with something.
Yeah.
And then that transitions over into the box jump over practice, right? Mm-hmm. Like the idea of, all right, we're going to talk about how you actually do a box jump. The sense that it's not I don't want you landing below parallel. I want it to be a soft jump, right? And so it could even starts jumping not even on the box. You're just going to jump to the box. Oh, I heard everybody's feet landing. Sound like a bunch of elephants. Here we go. Like so the sense that those 18 minutes are like critical to establishing what the 8 minutes of the actual WOD are going to be speaks to what you had mentioned as the before, the in the moment, and the after, which then, like a lake, like a rock going into a lake, ripples out into that bigger picture. And so that's where I was saying, like, I agree with you. The where there's smoke, there might be fire type of like, oh my God, freak out. No, we're not freaking out. But it's just the fact that somebody is asking that question of, well, what do I do in the 8 minutes? My first question would be, well, what function is that 8 minute workout in the larger nature of the coach athlete relationship? What does that 8 minutes offer? And if it is limited in your mind, not you, Eric, but in the person asking that question's mind in that community forum, to thinking that, well, what else can I do if I can only cheerlead, rather than saying like, well, I generally use those 8 minutes just to keep the athletes moving along, because I spent 40 minutes before that coaching the effing hell out of them. And by the time they got to those 8 minutes, they didn't want to see me. They didn't want to talk to me. They just wanted to go because they knew exactly what they were supposed to do. Right? Like, in a sense, I didn't say a word in those 8 minutes. I walked around and I went, right? Like, it was all visual cues of like, you know, like, because you had effectively set them all up. Not to mention the music's loud. They're in extremity. They have catastrophe heart rates, right? They're not listening to you anyway. So of course you're not coaching.
Yeah, there's a chance they can't even see you because they're facing the wall.
Right. So yeah, you're right. There is zero coaching going on in those 8 minutes because you effectively coached for the 40 minutes beforehand. And then in the 5 minutes afterwards, you spend those 5 minutes recapping. How'd it go? Did you execute your plan? What could you have done better? Hey, everyone roll over. Excellent. Who's going to come tomorrow? What are you looking forward to? What are you eating for breakfast this morning? Did anybody have anything they need to tell me about what they did with their 800-gram challenge? Right? Like, what else is going on in the community that those 5 minutes allow the coach to talk about? Which comes back to, why would the coach ever think to start asking those questions? What kind of relationship, what is the nature of the relationship that Fairwinds CrossFit has established as expected for the coach with the athlete? And if that's clear and expected, well, then the coach knows what kind of questions to ask, knows like the nature of, you know, what kind of things they're curious about with their clientele, what they want to know as far as like, oh, hey, you remember last week you told me you were ... How'd that go? Where are you at with it? Like that, you know what like that's the type of having the guideline, or sort of the lighthouse, sort of the target of like, this is the relationship that I have with my clients. Then everything else sort of gears towards that teleological end.
I think it's funny, that point, just thinking about talking about that, and how much of that you were just talking about that relationship, and kind of going back to how we're talking about Malleolo, talking about like, you know, this I guess the quality of a CrossFit affiliate being determined by its number of level 2 and level 3 coaches, which is like, yeah, like they're getting experience in that, but there's stuff in that, but that's something that you make people aware, but that giving a shit, for lack of a better term, you don't teach.
No, I think what he's assuming, which I don't think it's an inappropriate or inaccurate assumption. I think in the nature of all assumptions, you open the door for inaccuracies or misconstrued cause and effect. That coach who has been through the level 2 by the nature of the certification process, would begin to imbue the sense of caring required to be an efficacious coach.
Yeah.
Does that you can't get to X without going through A, B, C.
Right.
And so like that's what I think he is, especially in the conversation of the two people he's having it with Fern and Ackerman, and I think that's what Austin's question is, why he's asking it and why they're kind of uncovering it, of like, all right, well, if I have somebody who I'm a CrossFitter, I'm a coach, I'm an owner, whatever, and a family member calls me, and I live in Annapolis and they live in Idaho, and they call me and they say, hey, I really want to do this CrossFit thing. I'm on, where should I go? Here, and would I feel comfortable Googling CrossFit in Boise and sending them to whatever one comes up? The fact that my immediate response is no way, right? I would have to do research, I think is what Austin is wondering or exploring as the director of affiliate relationships. Like, okay, it's not that I don't think he's saying that vetting as a process will ever go away. That's
right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think what he's asking is, are the means or the measures by which we vet something, AKA an affiliate, commonly understood and standardized? And are they available and accessible to a broader kind of uneducated audience? Go ahead.
Do you think he'll go to a point? It's funny because Affiliate U's doing something like this within Best Hour, and then I'm curious if you see something like, is this something CrossFit would do? So like, as you go through Affiliate U, we're doing this thing where you're going to do, you're basically going to fill out a survey, and then it's asking all these different questions about your business, from the coaching side of it to the financial side of it to your systems to your blah 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 blah. And once you go through all that, they put all this stuff together and basically say you're a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 affiliate based on where you're at right now. And your goal is to get to that level 4. Right now, based on this, you're a level 2. Because this is what you have. Do you see, and that's just from like, hey, we want you to be the best business you can. It's not like you're awful, just here's where you are, we want to get to here. Do you see something like that? Like, is that what Austin's talking about? Where it's like they have a grading system where it's like you're out there in, what'd you say, Idaho?
Yeah.
And there's 3 affiliates within 15 miles of you, and 2 of them are level 2 and one of them is level 3, but based on whatever that is. Is that coaching credentials? Is that, I don't know. Like, is that the vibe you got, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't know, but it would seem to be.
I need you to know. I need the answers, Jack.
Yeah,
You don't talk to Austin regularly.
Yeah, Austin. Well, we just finished our Zoom call right before this one.
Yeah.
I was working out with him and Paul Tremblay and whoever else he works out with.
He's
I went in on that Zoom call. I don't. That 30 minutes, I think that would be the hardest 30 minutes of my entire life.
Right?
If they're getting a workout done in 30 minutes, I mean, those are 3 fit MFers.
I would, right? Like, they're not even saying a hi when they get on. They're in it by the second you start.
I've seen Austin do a 30-minute workout in the lunch break during a level 2, and I almost vomited watching him do it. And it wasn't, they didn't skimp on volume. Like, they got stuff. He was still training for the games at that point.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, sure, right? Like, yeah, that seems like it would be something in line with the idea of observable, measurable, repeatable. That it is a relatively quantifiable thing, but yet has sort of this innate qualified sort of measurement to it. Now, here's what I would, if I'm on that team, kind of exploring this as a possibility. My question would be, like, I think of the Endgame, where they're like, "What master do you serve?" What am I supposed to say? Jesus? Yeah. Wait, are you from Earth? Right? No, from, what's he saying? From Missouri. Yeah, Missouri's on Earth, dumbass. that 50% that's all you, or that whatever, you know what it's anyway.
Yeah.
What would that grading system, leveling system, what would that serve in the mission or the stated mission of an affiliate to be in relationship or to be of service to its clientele and its community, which then it doesn't beg the question, which then opens the door to ask the question, okay, well, does an affiliate have a responsibility to CrossFit HQ?
Right. That's
so if I'm an affiliate and
which is now kind of switching like that. It's been pay your affiliate fee and then do your thing.
Right. Like, so if I'm an affiliate and I'm a complete shit show, do I in a sense, though I pay my $3,000 a year, am I a liability to CrossFit HQ's larger mission of 30,000 affiliates or through whatever what's his face before Don Fall, Rosa, whatever Rosa stated, right? Didn't he say he wanted like 10 million or 30 million or 300 million or something CrossFitters? Or so like it was a moonshot, which I appreciate. Like it was a moonshot goal, which then drives like all of these other things. But in a sense, it does kind of clarify like, okay, well, Glassman had always said the market will regulate quality simply by, if there's 15 affiliates in a 10 square mile radius, that's how can you have a square radius in a 10-mile radius area, over the course of some designated period of time, only 3 will survive. And those 3 that survive will be of quality, whether it's because they actually develop the best athletes or because they provide the greatest service that their clientele ask for. So maybe you have like the high quality technical affiliate. Maybe you have the super fun party affiliate. And maybe you have the affiliate that's kind of the balance of the both, but they charge a higher rate and keep their size much smaller. So in a sense, it's the same thing of like, okay, if you want pizza and you live here in the Annapolis area, what metric by which do you decide to go to Rocco's versus Lido's versus Little Italy? Right? That's 3 pizza joints within a less than 3-mile radius of each other. They're all seeming to exist and making it. I mean, Rocco's just expanded 2 years ago, 3 years ago during the post-pandemic. Like, they got bigger. So
they expanded and said, "Oh, by the way, you're not allowed to sit in here for now."
Like,
just look out the window.
So from a sense of like market share, how do I justify, why isn't there a leveling system for pizza joints?
Because it's pizza. That's
okay. So, well, then why would a leveling system for affiliates make sense?
Yeah.
And there's no answer to. I don't know. It's actually asking the question. Well, wait. How do I measure the quality of the service that I am being provided? For me, it's like I want pizza that is fast, easy, and readily accessible. And 9 times out of 10, we'll go to Little Italy because the cheesesteaks are better than Rocco's. But Nicole and I can get a pizza that's fine enough. But as far as like quality of actual pizza, Rocco's, in my opinion, is the best in that general area. But they don't have other variety of options available to us as a family. And then it just becomes habituated. And so we go to Little Italy. It's generally easy, though we do hate that parking lot. But it's right next door to Brewster's. And so, hey, you get a twofer. If they put a Brewster's next to Rocco's, who knows what would happen?
And if you're really feeling good, go get yourself a nice little horchata from El Cabrito.
Yeah, seriously, right? So do you see what we cross over between industries, but yet the idea of what is that leveling system, that credentialing system telling a potential client? And so from a coach, let's bring it back to almost like in a platonic Socratic dialogue mode of like, all right, so you went from the narrowing in and sort of the close in of the coach to a broader sense of the affiliate, to even a broader sense of the affiliate ecosystem as a whole within CrossFit HQ. Let's bring it back to the coach. Why would a coach desire to continue to get credentialing?
Because they care.
I mean, that's a qualitative or almost like a judgmental take on their character. What I'm asking is, as we just did that, like, what benefit does it offer a coach to get additional credentials within the CrossFit ecosystem?
I mean, you could argue, I don't know, you learn more, you get more exposure, you fine tune the skills that you already have and then add some more. You get a different perspective. I think going to level 2 gives you an even clearer perspective on what to see and how to see it and how much you need to improve it.
Yeah, I would agree. Can I get paid more?
At Fairwinds, yes.
That's fucking A. Good job, dude. All right. If I'm an athlete, can I expect more from that coach?
Yes.
All right.
I should expect more.
I agree. I'm trying to think of what else, right? So we got like that holistic sort of, okay, well, this one thing as a belly button representative of all these other things, I think you're spot on, right? And so if I'm HQ, now we zoom way back out again. If I'm HQ, what can I do to incentivize affiliates, owners, individual coaches to want to continue to progress on that path? And then there's another thing too. What can I do to incentivize that they feel that they have to? Right. So there's a get to and a have to element to it. And Fern talked about this a while back. It was like a short I saw of like carrot and stick. Right. So if I'm a coach and I've had my level 1 for 5 years and I'm coming up for recertification and I have never applied or taken the level 2, do you tell that person you are ineligible to redo your level 1?
As in like as an ineligible, as in take your level 2 or you don't have a job?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't, right? Like, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but right. Like if we're going to play this game, play the thought experiment, like if I want to make something,
funny. Honestly, the more, whether the coach is listening or not, like this is the thing I've been trying to figure out for myself is, okay, I can incentivize more by, paying more, but also like it is important to me that you are continuing it. And I know that these certifications they're not cheap. I think maybe on the front end, they're not cheap. I mean, if you look at the level 1 is what, 1,000, what is it now? 1,125.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even know the price went up.
It went up. Yeah, it went up like a year or two ago.
I'm pretty sure I'm coming up on whatever it's called, when expiration of my certifications.
So when I look at it, like, and this is where I go. So your level 1, get your level 1, you can come coach at Fairwinds CrossFit. Let's call it bare minimum, right? Let's just say it costs you $1,125. Okay. We can look at that, and it's like, in doing that, you now have a free gym membership, which some affiliates do and some affiliates don't. Some still charge you for a membership and you work it off, and some you just get it. So over the course of 5 months, you just paid off your level 1 by not having to pay for a membership.
See, now that's a really effective way to de-emphasize the dollar value of what you're talking about. That was I really appreciate what you just did there. Like, cool. That's awesome. Let me throw a curveball.
Hit me.
Is there also worth in valuing the relationship the opportunity for that coach to develop the relationship with those athletes. Like, how could I make that as potent of a measure of worth for the coach? Does that make sense? Of like,
No, that totally makes sense, because that's something, because it's one of those, like, you know, the because coming from it it's hard to measure from like a, you know, developing that relationship with your athletes likely means that athlete will be bought in and will continue to come, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that you will have people attending your class.
Yeah.
If people don't attend your class, then there's no class to be had, so there's no pay for you because there's no class. Or if it gets to a point where it's like there's no gym to be had because there's not enough people coming and it doesn't make sense to keep the doors open. Now I think that's a way bigger deal to me than it is so and so that coaches 3 days a week because this is a side gig and they got to, you know, they enjoy CrossFit, but their life will go on. I mean, my life would go on if I closed the doors, but I'd be very sad.
Yeah. But you're spot on of like, so is there more value in thinking through how to incentivize the continuance of that relationship? And then when threatened to lose it, the motivation, because they're right to discount the potency of fear of loss as a motivator, I think is silly. It's immature. You're just ignoring the fact that no, it's a very potent motivator and can often jolt us out of the false comfort of habituation. Be like, oh shit, no, this really is important to me. And so if you said to a coach like, hey, you've been coaching here for 3 or 4 years and you have not continued your education, I got to tell you, if you don't sign up for a level 1 within the next, or sorry, a level 2 within the next 6 months, I'm going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
Like, so, right. And obviously you're a much better manager than this. Like, you would have had this conversation long before. The expectation would have been set long before, right? The rules of the game would have been established. So it's not like a surprise when that offers to the person, but the fear of that consequence can often be a very useful motivator to keep us moving and probably to get over an associated fear of failure, right? And so it sort of de-emphasizes like, I don't know, I'm not really that invested in it, and be like, no. Like, you taking this level 2 or moving on to the next thing or doing the next thing, it's like, it becomes almost common sense because it's like, oh no, this is how I enrich the opportunity to further the relationships that mean the most to me in the world. And so I would pay $5,000 to have that opportunity to do it. The fact that I'm having to do it for $1,000, that's like a discount, right? Like that's the little mental gymnastics maybe that I think we're talking about. Yeah. That I think is what Austin is asking, that the subtext to his question that he asked in that interview about like, what metrics do you use to determine the quality of a gym? Like, that's the subtext, is what the fuck do we prioritize as important? And the fact that a community within a smaller community of coach development is asking, well, I don't understand for these 8 minutes. What I'm not saying that's what, right? I'm being very hyperbolic of like, that is
the voice of everyone outside of your head.
Right. Like that. So, but the fact that question is being asked, it's not a judgment of them. They're not bad coaches.
Oh,
it's to me a sign. We have a disconnect in what it is you think your role as a coach is in this development of a relationship with another human being who you get access to for 60 minutes a day, hopefully 3 to 5 times a week, but at worst once a week, at best 2 to 4, maybe 5 times a week, maybe 5 if you're coaching a little bit too much, but whatever. Like, the fact that you're asking me that question means I either haven't clarified it, you haven't imbued what we've been talking about. There's some sort of disconnect. And rather than answer that question of like, this is what your 8 minutes should exactly look like, I owe you another question of what do you think the nature of your relationship is as a coach with your athletes? Right. And to ask that person and to honestly get their answer of like, I'm there to make sure that their movement is sound and effective and like, yes, but is there something more that you should be doing?
Because
go ahead.
Steve, because my initial thought with that question is like, not necessarily like, well, were their arms locked out or were they landing with their chest on the box jump? But it's just kind of come back to like if I was at the level 2 and I had my whole group perform front squats and I said, cool, those look good. And if Austin Maliolo is my seminar staff there, he probably asked me, are you 100% satisfied with what you just saw?
Or he's coming off the top rope when you go, those look great. He's coming off the top rope. Are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
You think you're so satisfied. You have such a disrespect for these 8 people that you're going to let them get away with that? How can you respect yourself as a coach if you're like, what? I'm only saying because I saw that happen, right? Like that's what I mean as far as they go over and above the like to shock you when you're an attendee in that level 2, to shock you out of the thought process that perfection is ever possible. And if I say, go, and everyone does a rep, and I don't cue anyone, what I just told everybody in that class is that they are perfect.
Yeah.
That's problematic. That either A, I honestly think everybody was perfect, or B, or C, or D, or D, right? Or I couldn't see it, or I don't think I deserve to tell them that, or I don't think they deserve to be cued, or right. Like there's a lot of things that could be going on there, but the simple fact that I said nothing is the smoke that is indicating there's a much bigger fire happening here. It could be isolated to me as the individual. It could be isolated to maybe the culture as a whole. It could be isolated to, right, like an absence of education. It could be isolated to maybe I'm just not supposed to be a coach. Like maybe that's just not in my nature. That I would be a better janitor. I'd be a better accountant. I'd be a better whatever. Like who knows? Like, do you know what? So, but the simple fact that somebody asked that question, it's these 8 minutes with these movements. How could I do anything but cheerlead?
That sounds just like Mary, by the way. I want to make it.
I don't think you understand what it means to be a coach in the same way that I'm understanding what it means to be a coach. So rather than to tell you what I understand what it means to be a coach, the service that I can provide you in this moment is to ask you, what do you think it means to be a coach?
And I think sometimes too, that's like just kind of, I feel like it can come off as I'm trying to think of the way where this is not coming as like a harsh criticism and be like, how do you not know blah blah blah, but it's like, yeah, you might need to think about this a little. Like you said, why do you coach? What do you think makes you coach?
What do you think?
What do you do this? Because it's because if you're having trouble answering that question, then you need to spend some more time thinking about that, because so much of this is, again, I hear it all the time, and I love these coaching development calls too with like Ackerman and Pat and these, and you can tell like some people are relatively new, and they're newer coaches, or they've been doing a little bit while, or maybe they haven't had the guidance, and they're still trying to figure this out. And so it's taking that step back, like you thought you knew how to coach a squat, and now you're up on the spot. It's like, ooh, wow, just like a level 2. Oh, wow, I actually don't see things as well as I thought I did. So taking that information you have now, are you going to go back and do better, or it's just like, okay, well, now I know. I think sometimes that'll come down to it feels harsh, like then what are you doing? If that's the question you have to ask yourself, what are you doing?
When you brief your whiteboard brief, if you were to generalize, usually what is the first thing that you'll tell a class standing up there in front of the whiteboard, other than the joke? So after the joke, what is the next thing that you will tell the class?
I'd probably say this one's going to be fun. That's probably the next thing I say. This one's going to be a lot of fun. I'd probably start with that. Of course, like everyone takes that with a grain of salt now because I think they're all going to be fun.
They've been burned. He said this was going to be fun, and that was not fun at all.
Whoops.
You and I have distinctly different ideas of fun, my friend.
It's like you said after I said like, you like this workout. I was like, but I'm easy to please. I like all of them. Like they get the job done.
So it's a rhetorical question. I was curious, and I actually your answer that's very telling. That I think is what makes your class, the classes that you coach, distinctly yours, because you start with I do think it's going to be fun. And then, right, it opens the door of, well, what does Eric think is kind of fun and stuff? And so how you define, and so like for you, that's almost the guiding metric of if someone's not having fun across those 60 minutes, like your whole mission set becomes figuring out how to make that person have the best hour of their day, AKA have the most fun possible. To me, like if their squat's an absolute atrocious train wreck, but they had fun, you'll be willing to accept that. You're too good of a coach over the course of 4, 5, 6 months. You'll work on the squat because at some point the shitty squat starts to degrade the fun, but it all wraps in. If it's me, I might say like, oh, this one's gonna be a challenge. Like this one has some great opportunities for us. We want to shoot for 4 to 6 rounds in this 12 minutes. How are we going to get there? Right. I'm much more of like, I don't want anyone in that class to be surprised by any part of the journey. I want them to have a very clear and distinct idea of where we're headed and how we're going to get there, so that along the way, they don't have to worry about it because they know that I'm not keeping anything from them.
Yeah.
And then that way they can worry about the things that they want to worry about. And so that it opens the door for them to be able to ask the questions of, well, you said we want to get here. I don't know how we're going to get there. And I can go, oh, great point. I forgot to mention that. Or, oh, good question. For you, what I would suggest is right?
Yeah.
Like it immediately opens the door for the opportunity for collaboration rather than open your mouths. Here's my funnel. I'm going to pour in the knowledge, right? Like it requires of them to come and meet me some way. And whether I'm going 90 and they're going 10, or I'm going 10 and they're going 90, it's a constantly evolving collaborative relationship, which scratches my itch required as a individual, as a human being. And I think drives people towards a different version of themselves where 90% of their existence, I'm using a lot of 90 and 10s apparently, 90% of their existence oftentimes is like, I'm on receive mode. And so it's like, no, man, you got to have stakes in this. You got to have skin in this game or else we ain't playing the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, but again, that's very telling of me as a person and would make an experience of me coaching different than yours, but yet equally efficacious in, like you use the words of the inspire, entertain, educate, right? Like it still gets to the same point. Yeah. So that I think maybe if I'm training or coaching another coach, that might be where I would start. Yeah. And again, it for me, it's wrapped up in the question, what do you think the nature of your relationship is as a coach with your athletes?
Yeah. It's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I think it's the place to start. Yeah.
I think one other thing I was going to say is one thing, right? If I'm a level 1 coach and I've been coaching for less than 10 years, which is probably the majority of CrossFit coaches out there. If I'm a level 3 coach and I've been coaching for less than 10 years, which is probably also the majority of level 3 coaches out there. Yeah. In each class, in each opportunity of coaching, if I'm trying to focus on more than one thing to improve, I'm probably doing two things badly.
Yeah.
So I think it is just paramount to hold ourselves accountable to you can own, like, as much as we think we can multitask and work in parallel and like do more than one thing at a time, we can't. It's an illusion. Serialize.
If you try to see everything, you see
nothing. Yeah, like do one thing. And so going back to that CAP class plan, can I run that warm up in the orange section and get every member of that class cued to improving their handstand, push-up, static, dynamic? Like, my one thing is I am going to take those 20 reps and cue each person across those 20 reps. If I got 6 people in the class, they're all getting 3 cues. If I've got 10 people in the class, they're all getting 2 cues. If I got 20 people in the class, everybody's getting 1, right? Maybe I could double dip and I can, increase. But like that, if I'm looking at that class plan, class is on a Thursday, I'm looking at it Wednesday night because I know I'm coaching the next morning, or I know it's going to be a busy day because I got, other things at work, and I want to make sure I have my thought process before I'm looking at that. And I'm like, well, 8-minute WOD, whatever, it'll be what it'll be. And I'm sure in the moment I'll come up, but my focus, my single point of focus is in this class today. I'm going to cue everybody, every rep of those 20 reps of the shoulder taps and then the feet elevated shoulder taps. Yeah. And for that to happen, I've got to back up like, oh crap. All right, well, I better make sure my whiteboard brief is on point, that I explain to them, this is what we're going to focus on today. And I better explain to them why we're going to focus on that today. And I better keep my whiteboard brief less than 3 minutes, because if I keep it 10 minutes, I'm outside the timeline. And then Denise Thomas is going to fly in here and kick my ass. And then, right, like,
I'll tell you, I think that's, like you said, that's a big one too, is like, like going through, you have them on the wall, you're doing those slow shoulder taps, and you probably have people, come on, like grunting and complaining. That's okay. I can take that. That's my job. And like, if you have trouble taking that, you need to get some thicker skin, because you have an intent, you have a purpose, and you hopefully you told them, we're going to go up on the wall, we're going to do 10 shoulder taps on my count.
Yep.
You're going to stay. Like, let them know you're in charge, and they'll probably get mad at you, and that's okay. Because
I'm sorry. I would say they would get mad at you because you didn't set the intention at the beginning.
Yeah.
And say, like, when you say, and we're going to move at my count, kind of again, like, I agree. Like, that's a great setup, or that is a setup. I would say there is an improvement, and there could be a better setup of, because now I've taken all of the responsibility, and it almost feels like punishment, right? But instead it could be like, hey, we got these 20 reps, and in those 8 minutes, it's those, and this is what I mean, like, to set the intention at the WOD brief of like, the box jumps will be the box jumps. You guys will get through them. You get tired, whatever. But in a sense, like, the box jumps are not a throwaway, but it's where you can, if you're going to fail in this workout, where you're probably going to fail is in the handstand walks, or the wall walks. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we have dialed those in as tightly as we possibly can today. And for some of you, maybe we move you a little bit closer to a handstand walk in the future. Or maybe we make it so that these aren't quite so demoralizing and intimidating. And for us to be able to do that, we are going to really take our time and move slowly through the progression in the specific warm-up. It may seem like I'm being a little bit of a hard ass during it, but trust me, this is where you're going to make your improvement that you'll see in the 8 minutes, and possibly set yourself up to really make that enjoyable. But before we get there, we got to go through the general warm-up. So I want everyone to go get the hands, right? Like, but that's the intention. And so when it's like, look, I'm not being the bad guy. This hurts me more than it hurts you. Right? Like, it's that
I'm focusing real hard right now.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm working for you. You work for me. Like, come on, like, that sounds a little too authoritarian too. But like, the more that I can remove myself as the sole authority figure, the better the opportunity for the athletes to feel like they are in collaboration with it. And that, I think, and again, like, You can't just throw that at them while their feet are up on the wall and you're holding them in a static position. That had to be set up 15 minutes earlier at the WOD brief. And that had to be set up 24 hours before when I was thinking about it, right? So that's what I mean as far as like that single thing I'm going to work on. All of a sudden you're like, holy crap, I have to do all of this just to make sure that I do that well. How the hell am I ever going to pay attention to 3 things at once if it takes that much work to just do this well? And it's like, yeah, exactly. That's why this is a fucking profession. And it's not a throwaway. It's not a, oh, I'm just going to show up 10 minutes before, put on my red t-shirt and fucking coach on the foot. No, dude, like this is a profession. And if you want to be proficient at it, you better treat it with the respect that it deserves, because it innately puts you in a position to respect the people that you are in the care of in that moment. And if you don't, then maybe it's not for you. And that's okay too. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Cool.
Yeah. 8 minutes. What could I do at 8 minutes of a workout? Nothing. Go home. I got this one. I'll see you. I'll see you at Walmart.
8 minutes, that's money for you. It's the long workouts where you have, like, it feels like, I feel like sometimes those longer workouts where it's like you're trying to do more than just cheerlead, because it's like say like a Murph, right? Or like a Cindy, pull-ups, push-ups, squats, where it's like sometimes you feel like you're drilling the same thing over and over and over. How do you, well, that could be a whole different, how do you coach a 20-minute workout, right?
Again, I would start with the visual. Start with that visual of, all right, well, what's my priority of focus? And yeah, if it's 20 minutes, so think about that person's attention span.
Yep.
Do you think they're going to pay attention to the same thing for the entire 20 minutes?
Definitely not.
No. In a movie, if I'm watching a movie and I were to isolate out a 20-minute section of that movie, how many scenes or how many camera angle changes, how many shot changes? I don't know movie terms. You know what I mean? But like, how many transitions take place in that 20-minute portion? Well, guess what? If it's a 20-minute workout, treat it like a movie, right? Mm-hmm. Do I have character introductions? Is there opportunity to shift focus? Maybe there's portions of it. Maybe it's a 3-act play. So there's a rising action. There's some sort of climax. There's some sort of resolution. Across 20 minutes, if I can facilitate that for those people, well, now all of a sudden I just gave myself a structure upon which to rest all of the decisions that I make across that. And then there's sort of an underlying narrative theme that maybe feeds in across all of it. So that in the original question of the 8-minute WOD, that 8-minute WOD is a part of that within the larger scope of that 60-minute class. If it's a 20-minute workout, it's now like, oh shit, well, I can't use the same exact approach, but I can use the same sort of general idea of how does that 20 minutes improve or provide me the opportunity to develop a relationship with my athlete.
Like the movie. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save that one. I like that. All right. Well, good stuff. Let's land this plane.
All right, dude. Yeah.
Good. Gratitude. You want to go?
Sure. I got a buddy, one of my longest friends. You've met him, I think. My friend Brett. Diver. He like long time. Like we met each other in 3rd grade and have stayed friends our entire lives. But he lives out in Colorado with his family. His oldest son, is like a very good competitive climber. Went to nationals, placed well or whatever. So we were trying to figure out a trip in August to go out and visit him, and wanted so that Andrew could go climbing and maybe the twins climb, but then we would all drive out there, me and the boys and I, and we would like primitive camp and then climb. And so I was basically trying to jam like 10,000 pounds of shit into a 5-pound sock. And it was like, it just wasn't happening. We're not going to make it in August. And I had not yet followed up with him. He called me yesterday as I was walking the dogs, and it's fine. Like I was planning on calling him last night to like, cause I had finally sort of made the decision, like, shoot, this trip is not going to happen.
Mhm.
I was explaining to him, and we've talked through it, and it's funny in the theme of this. What I came to realize is the reason the trip wasn't coming together is because there were too many things I was trying to do, rather than Andrew and I get on an airplane, fly to Denver, and spend 3 or 4 days with them and just climb, right? Like, stay at their house. If we're going somewhere, like, go with them somewhere, but like, just do one thing and make that thing the thing you're doing. Like, the treat is the movie. That was what this family friend of ours in Virginia Beach used to say. She's very frugal. Like, can we get a popcorn? Can we get jujubes? Can we get blah, blah, blah? Like, the movie is the treat. Can we get a treat? And so
it's good.
The trip is the treat, right? Like, that's the thing. Not all the other things that we say, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And so I was so grateful that he got the jump on me and called, because he caught me unguarded, unprepared, and unwhatever. And that's the nature of that relationship with him, is that we often do that to each other serendipitously. And that's probably why we have stayed friends for so long, because there is zero, like, I'm 46, he's 40, he'll be 47. He's about 6 months older than me. Regardless of whether we're 9 or 46, like, we are the same people. We are the same people we were and always have been, regardless of all the things that have happened and changed us over the years. We immediately recognize who I know, who he is. He knows who I am, and it's awesome. Like, and so in that conversation, I was so grateful, and legitimately, like, I told him, I was like, you just made my fucking day. Like, this, I don't know why I was like, I gotta figure this out. I gotta make it. And he just cut through all the bullshit and was like, look, here, this is what we're doing. See if you can make it. If not, no big deal. We'll figure it out. I was like, oh, thank you so much. So Brett Wilmot, he was my gratitude. Like, it was an awesome phone call. And we were all over the map. We solved that problem within about 10 minutes, 5 minutes of the conversation, and then talked for like another 50 minutes of just like,
yeah. Those are the good ones. Good ones.
Yeah.
Nice. My gratitude is actually so this weekend. So yeah, Meg's birthday was on Tuesday. Fee's birthday was on Saturday, and Meg's sister loaded up the car and drove all the kids here from. They just recently moved to Alabama, so they're like near Mobile. And but as like a surprise, she just loaded up all 4 kids. So she has 2 that are almost 9. Corbin, I think, he's either just slightly younger than Fee or slightly older than Fee. And then she has a 2-year-old. Loaded it all up, drove the 16 hours from there to here as like surprise. So got here and was able to go to the carnival for Fee's birthday, was able to hang around and was here for Meg's birthday. And Fee was so excited because I think it was the night before they got here. She just happened to say how she missed her cousins and was really excited to see her cousins. It was just like completely unprompted. And so it was cool getting to see her and the kids. She just decided, yep, we're going to load up and go. I guess her presence was the gifts to Fee and Megan, but it was awesome. They had a great time, and I know Meg was so happy to see her, really excited to see her because it had been a minute since we had. So that was my gratitude is her. She's ballsy like that, man. She just loads. She's like, we're just gonna drive to. What did she do? It was one day. It was like a 20+ some hour drive, and she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna load up the kids and go. And this is when the kids were even younger. Like, she had a baby and a 2-year-old and I don't know how she does it, but she's ballsy like that. But it was cool. So that's my gratitude.
It's a good one, man. Family. I love that's the family versus family.
Yeah, I can do both of those right now. Actually, I think I do them the same.
Of course you can.
Goddamn weekend. Yeah. It's like, family, and then someone asked me, "How's your family?" Family.
Yeah, and then my response is family.
Yeah. Exactly.
I have a book called The F Word, and it's all about the F-bomb, and it's like, it's a verb, it's an adjective, it's an adverb, it's a superlative, it's a right, like, you name the part of speech, can serve that purpose.
Yeah. There you go. Awesome. All right, cool. Good stuff. So we'll be back at it, barring any thunderstorms, Wednesday next week.
All right.
Oh, did I lose you? Did I lose me?
No, I'm moving. Am I moving? Am I
Okay.
moving?